What's up, nerds? Welcome to Table Ready. My name's Noah, and this is the Critical Review, where I critically review every episode of Campaign 3 of Critical Role. Now, all of my reviews should be taken with the same amount of seriousness as Fern Calloway's recent engagement. We start off in the carriages, which is nice because it seems as though Matt has put them on their way to the ball to kind of expedite the whole planning process, or so I thought. The parties plan inside of their respective carriages, Team Estros and Team Dorian. They arrive to find who they were looking for, as well as other esteemed guests like Jonna Hickson and The Anger and Cyrus. Like, what the hell are you doing here? Your bounty holder is in the room. But before I get ahead of myself, this is just the beginning of all the bad ideas that are to come in this episode, so stay strapped in. They spend the next hour or so talking up rich douchebags, including the face of the Chande Quorum and Lord Treshy. Treshy doesn't seem to be interested in getting too close to Fern, who's trying really hard to get close to him. When Imogen reads his mind, it seems as though there was some recent dealings with a fae that didn't work out so well. It's at this point that the party decides it's time to pull off their plan, to swap out Lord Treshy's ring with the decoy tracking ring, and boy does that go wrong. It seems as though their haphazard plan was going to work when Fern plucks the ring from Treshy's hand and it drops to the ground. But then Dorian walks up to the ring, kicks it across the floor in plain sight of Treshy. Robbie, what the hell were you thinking? All you needed to do was go down, pick up the ring.
This is the moment of transition, and you're transitioning out of it. You see Fern.
Dorian, notice he dropped it and saved the day. Switch the ring.
Right at the middle of the transition.
Yes.
Fashion.
No, pick up the ring from the fucking
I have the correct ring.
No, but he has
Trust
to
me.
see that
Trust
you
him.
picked
Trust
it up.
me in the gin. And I
Very simple, but instead you kick the ring across the floor, forcing you to have to throw the ring over to Fern, and Fern to save the day, saying that she's engaged, and then meet up with Imogen to make this whole thing work. That turned this anthill of a plan into a mountain. It worked out, but we're not done yet. I gotta shout out Black People Storytime's comment. We had a little conversation about this before this episode even aired that is beyond relevant. The fact that Estros is standing right next to Ashton, who is wearing a mask of the Anger at a party with the city's elite.
And they're looking at the mask.
I am very well covered, by the way. Other than the purple, there's nothing else showing.
But you're
this
rocking
is...
that.
But you rock
Nightmare
around
King.
the Nightmare King mask.
Yeah, oh, that's right.
Yeah.
totally incognito.
Come on, what are you thinking? Of course that's gonna bring negative attention to Estros, who doesn't know what that mask means. Lord Volley's there and Ashton's getting called out. Of course. Ashton decides to be preemptive in this situation in order to keep things contained or controlled. But it spirals out of control when Ashton's mask gets removed and he replies with a slap, which leads to a fist fight that we'll get to next episode. Meanwhile, Chetney is on Cyrus duty, and he's not doing a very good job. It turns out that Cyrus is looking to do a job to try to clear up some of this debt. It seems as though he is following Lady Emeth, but Chet loses track of him halfway through following her. What he does find out is that Lady Emeth is not quite human. And for those of us who have seen this before, which Chet has not, she is basically turning into the same thing as Duggar. And she seems to be controlling the Shade Creepers that are taking everything from this office and shoveling it into a bag. That wraps up that cluster of a night, and keeping a low profile, which was top of Estros' priority list, is safe to say out of the window. Let's hop into some theories. First, I'd like to say that Estros might need to do some damage control here. One of his bodyguards was dressed up like the Anger, but I don't think that would get Estros in trouble with the Chande Quorum, because I don't think that Volley is a part of that quorum. Hear me out. It seems as though the plan that Volley and Ira had was to destabilize the city to bring about some distrust in the quorum, which some people are voicing at this very party. Also, the lack of trust by a quorum member in Fern because she is a fae and they were recently burned by one leads me to believe that the quorum knows that Ira is a part of this evil things happening in the city that are taking away from their credibility. Another theory is that I think these rich people are really just going back and forth in some weird messed up game of stealing from one another, and I think that random adventurers get caught in the crossfire and end up with bounties on their head, much like Cyrus. Last on my theories list are some more names, and I figure I'll just keep dropping them until the party has one. So the first is the Solo Nobles. Robbie says it at some point in the game and I thought it was cool. Also, all the Bell names, I think it would be cool if we replaced Bell with something synonymous, like chimes. So you could have like the Chime Decorum, or even better, the Chime Night Shyamalans. Raiding time. Matt's efforts to try to cut the planning time down by starting them off on their route is amazing. As a DM, I can respect that a lot, and I think I should do that in the future. If the party ends in planning, I just go ahead and set them on their path in the next session, and then let them backfill whatever information they want on the way, so that we're not just sit there bogged down in planning time. For this, I'll give you an 8 out of 10. It was a great idea, even though the execution didn't quite work out, with the party still needing a lot of room to plan. This moment.
Imogen is gone.
Only Maud remains.
9 out of 10. Robbie is hilarious, and even though he was completely frustrating me and I think Laura, I gotta give you a 9 out of 10, man. I just liked it. It's still funny and I'm glad to have you. The amount of metagaming was
too damn high party.
The only thing keeping this from being a straight up 1 or 0 is that some of the points were kind of funny, but in the game it breaks immersion, it gets a little weird. For this, I'm gonna give you a 2 out of 10. Some people are fine with metagaming, I'm not. That's just where I stand. Also included in that 2 out of 10, did I miss something, or did Ashley just like walk in with that ornate saber without saying anything to Matt? Unless she hid it in some way that I'm unaware of, Dorian's ornamental rapier was taken, so why wasn't this saber? Luckily, it's not being used anyways, but still was kind of weird. Finally, as much as I've been cracking on this episode for the poor planning and bad table manners, I gotta say, I enjoyed it a lot. This is one of my favorite episodes, and coming off of last episode, it was really refreshing to have a little bit of chaos and a lot of fun. So for this, I'm gonna give you an
8.5 out of 10.
Even though it dissolved into complete shenanigans, a lot happened, there were a lot of angles going on, and I think everybody enjoyed it. No 10 out of 10s this week, but you can get a 10 out of 10 by making a mage hand out of that like button, and if you want to have another source for some CR content, some D&D content, then hit subscribe, join the community, and hop in the comments section for some cool conversations. That's mostly what this channel is for, is to have cool conversations with critters like you. So yeah, I'll see you next week. Peace.